The desperate call. The Kepler mining station orbited the gas giant like a metal spider, its extraction arms reaching deep into the swirling atmosphere. Commander Zelvik pressed his four-fingered hand against the viewport, watching the raiders, ships circle closer. His species, the Vortans, had evolved underground on a low-gravity moon. Their pale skin and large black eyes made them excellent miners, but terrible warriors. Shield status? Zelvik's voice carried the musical tones of his people. 17% and falling, replied Engineer Crix, her antennae drooping with exhaustion. The Rakari pirates have damaged our main generator. Another blast shook the station. Through the transparent walls, Zelvik watched a storage module break free and tumble into the gas giant's crushing depths. 200 Vortan workers were still aboard the station, including families who had made this remote outpost their home. Commander, Communications Officer Tsen spoke up, his usually steady voice trembling. The Coalition forces are 8 days away. We cannot survive that long. Zelvik closed his large eyes, making a decision that went against every protocol. The Universal Distress Beacon was meant for natural disasters, not military conflicts. Using it could bring anyone, traders, explorers, or worse. Activate the beacon, he ordered. Full-spectrum broadcast. But, sir, the regulations, people are dying. Send it. The signal burst into space, a mathematical cry for help that any spacefaring civilization would recognize. What the Vortans didn't know was that their desperate call would travel farther than intended, reaching a blue planet whose inhabitants had only recently mastered faster-than-light travel. Light years away, in the outer reaches of the Sol system, Lieutenant Sarah Park monitored her screens at Earth's deep space communications array. The facility floated in the shadow of Neptune, listening for any hint of intelligent life among the stars. Her coffee mug froze halfway to her lips as her console erupted with alerts. Commander Reyes, we have a Type 7 signal. Marcus Reyes, a veteran of 30 years in space operations, crossed the control room in 3 quick strides. Confirmed? Triple verified, sir. It's using the universal mathematical sequence we theorized. Origin point is 18 light-years out. Kepler 442 system. Reyes felt his heart rate spike. First contact. Not the slow, careful exchange of scientific data they'd planned for, but a distress call. Can we translate it? Park's fingers flew over her keyboard. The signal includes translation matrices. Clever design. Getting audio now. A voice filled the control room, melodic but unmistakably desperate. This is Commander Zelvik of Vortan. Mining Station 7. We are under attack by hostile forces. Our defenses have failed. 200 souls aboard, including young ones. Please, if anyone receives this message, we need immediate assistance. Our coordinates follow. The room fell silent except for the hum of electronics. Orders, sir. Park asked. Reyes was already reaching for the secure line to Earth Command. Wake up Admiral Chen. Tell her humanity just received its first invitation to the Galactic stage. 6 hours later, Earth's hastily convened Security Council faced a decision that would define humanity's place in the cosmos. Admiral Lisa Chen stood before the assembly, her expression grave. The signal is authentic. These Vortans are under attack by what they call Rakari pirates. Without intervention, they'll be destroyed within days. Why should we risk human lives for aliens we've never met? Asked Counselor Petrov, his thick accent carrying his skepticism. Because that's who we choose to be, Chen replied. For centuries, we've asked ourselves what we'd do when we met other life. Now we know. They're crying for help. We answer. President Martinez leaned forward. What forces can we deploy? The battle cruiser. Prometheus, destroyers Olympus Mons, and Mount Everest. And the carrier Pangaea with its full fighter complement. They're training near Jupiter and could reach the Kepler system in 5 days using maximum FTL. And if it's a trap? Petrov insisted. Chen's smile was sharp. Then they'll learn why humans survived on a Deathworld. Our gravity alone is 3 times galactic standard. Our atmosphere would poison most species. We evolved fighting everything, from microbes to megafauna. If someone wants to trap humans, they better be prepared for what that means. The vote was unanimous. Captain Michael Torres stood on the bridge of the Prometheus as his fleet prepared for humanity's longest jump through space. The 4 ships represented Earth's most advanced technology, armor forged in asteroid foundries, weapons tested against Jupiter's radiation storms, and crews trained in Earth's unforgiving environment. "All ships report ready for jump," announced his navigation officer. Torres nodded, feeling the weight of history. "Signal the fleet. We jump in 30 seconds." In the engine room, Chief Engineer Patel made final adjustments. The antimatter cores hummed with barely contained power. To most species, antimatter was theoretical. To humans who had learned to harness it while surviving solar flares and cosmic radiation, it was just another tool. "Jump in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reality folded. The human fleet vanished from Sol's system, racing toward a distant cry for help. Back on the Vortan mining station, hope was fading. The Rakari had breached the outer hull in 3 places. Commander Zelvik organized the evacuation of families to the station's shielded core, while his few security officers tried to slow the pirates' advance. "Commander!" Zen called out. "Unknown ships detected dropping from FTL." Zelvik's antennae straightened. "The Coalition?" "No, sir. Unknown configuration. They're hailing us." The main screen activated, and Zelvik found himself staring at a face unlike any in the Galactic database. The creature had forward-facing eyes like a predator, exposed skin instead of fur or scales, and sat in a gravity that should have crushed most sentience. "Commander Zelvik, this is Captain Torres of Earthship Prometheus. We received your distress call. Help has arrived." Zelvik's large eyes blinked rapidly. "Earth? You're not in our database." Torres smiled, an expression that would have terrified most prey species. "We're new to the neighborhood. Now about those pirates bothering you. Permission to engage?" Before Zelvik could respond, alarms screamed. The Rakari had detected the new arrivals. "Our scans show 7 pirate vessels," Torres continued calmly. "Don't worry, we've got this." As the human fleet moved to engage, Zelvik's sensors finally managed to analyze the newcomers. What he saw defied belief. "Cricks," he whispered. "Are these readings correct?" The engineer checked twice. "Yes, Commander. Those ships are built from ultra-dense alloys. Their acceleration rates suggest crews capable of surviving 9 standard gravities. Their power signatures—" She trailed off. "What?" "They're using contained antimatter reactions. That's theoretically impossible." Zelvik watched the human ships accelerate toward the pirates with movements that should have liquefied their crews. In his desperation, he had called for help from anyone who would listen. The universe had sent him Deathworlders, and they were smiling. Part 2. When Deathworlders. Arrived Captain Vex of the Rakari pirates watched his tactical display with growing unease. The 4 unknown ships approached with impossible speed, their energy signatures unlike anything in his database. "Analysis complete, Captain," his science officer reported, scales shifting to a pale yellow of concern. "The newcomers appear to be from an uncharted species. Their technology is unusual." "Unusual how?" "Their ships are constructed from materials that should be too heavy for space travel. Their power cores read as antimatter, which is impossible. And their acceleration suggests they can withstand forces that would kill any known species." Vex's raptor-like eyes narrowed. "Hail them!" The main screen filled with the image of Captain Torres. To the Rakari, evolved from pack hunters on a low-gravity world, the humans' forward-facing eyes and exposed skin were unsettling. But it was the easy way Torres moved in what sensors showed as crushing gravity that truly disturbed them. Unknown vessels, Vex began, trying to project strength. This is a lawful seizure operation. The Vortan station has failed to pay protection fees. Withdraw immediately. Torres's expression didn't change. I'm reading weapon signatures on your ships consistent with recent attacks on civilian targets. That makes you pirates in my book. You have one chance to surrender. Vex laughed, showing rows of sharp teeth. You dare threaten the Rakari clan? We are 7 ships against your 4. You know nothing of who you face. Funny, Torres replied. I was about to say the same thing. All ships, engage. What happened next would become legend across the galaxy. The Pangea's fighter bay erupted with activity as 60 human fighters launched in perfect formation. Lieutenant Commander Ana Rodriguez led the first wave, her fighter pulling maneuvers that would have turned most species into paste. Phoenix Squadron, form up, she ordered. Remember, these pirates are used to fighting low-gravity species. Show them what Earth training means. The fighters scattered like angry hornets, accelerating at rates that made the Rakari gunners' targeting computers scream errors. Rodriguez dove toward the lead pirate vessel, rolling her fighter through a spiral that generated 15 Gs of force. Her enhanced flight suit and genetic modifications, standard for all human pilots, kept her conscious and functional. The pirates' weapons, designed to target the slow, predictable movements of low-gravity species, couldn't track the human. Fighters. Plasma bolts sailed harmlessly through space as the human craft danced between them. Impossible, Vex snarled. No biological crew could survive those maneuvers. His tactical officer's scales had turned white with fear. Captain, their fighters are targeting our engine systems with surgical precision. We're being disabled, not destroyed. On the Prometheus, Captain Torres coordinated the fleet action. The destroyer Olympus Mons had engaged 2 pirate vessels, its railguns firing projectiles at speeds that turned them into plasma on impact. The Mount Everest used its electronic warfare suite to blind pirate sensors while Marines prepared for boarding operations. Sir, reported the sensor officer. The station is hailing. They want to speak with you. Torres nodded. Put them through. Commander, Zelvik's pale face appeared on screen, his large eyes wider than before. Captain Torres, your ships. How do your crews survive such forces? Torres smiled slightly. Commander, humans evolved on a world with 3 times standard gravity in an atmosphere with reactive oxygen that most species consider toxic. We grew up dodging predators, surviving diseases, and adapting to extremes that would kill most sapients. Out here, this is easy mode. Meanwhile, aboard the carrier Pangea, Colonel James Mitchell prepared his Marines for deployment. The boarding. Troops wore power armor that augmented their already formidable human strength, turning them into walking tanks. Listen up, Mitchell addressed his troops. The Vortans are civilians, miners. They're counting on us. The pirates are used to fighting species that evolved in comfortable environments. They've never faced Deathworlders. Let's educate them. The assault shuttles launched, carrying 200 Marines toward the mining station. As they approached, pirate boarding parties were already inside, terrorizing the Vortan civilians. The first hint the pirates had of their mistake came when the human shuttles didn't slow down for docking. Instead, they punched through the station's outer hull using specialized breach pods, sealing the holes behind them. Marines poured out, moving with speed and coordination that defied their heavy armor. Raider Team Leader Krex rounded a corner with his squad, pursuing fleeing Vortan families. He stopped dead when he saw the armored figures ahead. The humans stood nearly twice his height, their armor scarred from training in conditions that would kill most sapients. Drop your weapons, the lead Marine commanded, her voice amplified. By external speakers, Krex fired his plasma rifle. The bolt struck the Marine's chest plate and dissipated harmlessly. The Marine didn't even stagger. That was your one free shot, she said calmly. What followed wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration. The Marines moved through the station like apex predators, their enhanced strength allowing them to literally punch through walls when pirates tried to barricade themselves. their reaction times honed by evolution on a world where a moment's hesitation meant death made them seem prescient to the slower pirates. In the station's command center, Commander Zelvik watched the tactical feeds in awe. The humans weren't just winning, they were systematically dismantling a force that had terrorized this sector for years. "Commander," Crix reported, her voice shaking. "The human Marines, they're not using lethal force. They're capturing the pirates." Zelvik's antennae twitched in confusion. "Why show mercy? The Rakari would have killed us all." On his screen, Captain Torres answered, "Because we can, Commander. Because being strong enough to destroy doesn't mean you should. Humans learned that lesson the hard way on our own world." Outside, the space battle had become a rout. 3 pirate ships drifted powerless, their engines surgically destroyed. 2 more were trapped in the Prometheus's tractor beams. The remaining 2 attempted to flee, only to find the Mount Everest had already calculated their jump vectors and placed gravitational mines in their path. Captain Vex, his bridge sparking from overloaded systems, finally understood the magnitude of his error. "What are you?" he demanded over the communications channel. Captain Torres leaned forward slightly. "We're humans. We come from a world you'd call a Deathworld. High gravity, toxic atmosphere, extreme weather, and countless predators. We evolved not by hiding from these challenges, but by overcoming them. We learned to work together, to protect those weaker than ourselves, and to answer when someone calls for help. And now," Torres's expression hardened, "you've learned why the galaxy should be very careful about who they send distress calls to, because sometimes the answer might be scarier than the problem." The last pirate ship powered down its weapons. 6 hours later, the mining station was secure. Human medical teams worked alongside Vortan healers, treating wounded from both sides. The pirates, thoroughly defeated, sat in makeshift holding areas, guarded by Marines who seemed impossibly alert despite the long battle. Commander Zelvik found Captain Torres in the station's observation deck, looking out at the gas giant below. "Captain," Zelvik began hesitantly, "I must ask, why did you come? You knew nothing of us, had no obligation to help." Torres turned, and for the first time his expression softened. "Commander, humans have a saying. Today you, tomorrow me. We helped because you needed it, and because we could. Simple as that. But the risk—" "Life is risk," Torres interrupted gently. "On Earth, our ancestors faced saber-toothed tigers, ice ages, plagues, and each other. We survived by learning that the pack, the tribe, the community was stronger than the individual. When you sent that distress call, you became part of our community." Zelvik's large eyes glistened. "The Galactic Council will want to know about your species. The fact that Deathworlders not only exist but are spacefaring. It will change everything." Torres nodded. "We figured. That's why we brought these." He handed Zelvik a data crystal. Everything about Earth and humanity. Our history, our culture, our mistakes and triumphs. If we're joining the galactic community, we want to do it with full transparency. Even the wars. The dark periods? Especially those, Torres confirmed. "We're not perfect, Commander. We're just humans. But when someone calls for help, we answer." Over the following days, as the human ships helped repair the mining station and waited for Galactic Council representatives to arrive, word spread through communications networks. The impossible had happened. A Deathworld species had achieved spaceflight. More shocking still, they had used their fearsome capabilities not for conquest but for rescue. The Vortan civilians, initially terrified of their saviors, gradually warmed to the humans. They watched in amazement as Marines who could bend steel with their bare hands gently played with Vortan children. They saw pilots who could withstand crushing G-forces, patiently teaching young Vortans about Earth animals. They observed engineers who worked with antimatter as casually as others might handle simple tools, carefully explaining human technology. "They're nothing like the stories," Officer Tsen remarked to Commander Zelvik. "Deathworlders are supposed to be monsters." Zelvik watched a human medic carefully treating a wounded pirate who had tried to kill her hours before. "Perhaps that's exactly what they are," he said softly. "Monsters who chose to be something else." When the Galactic Council representatives finally arrived, they found a scene they couldn't have imagined: pirates and their would-be victims working together, under human supervision to repair the station. Vortan engineers learning from human technicians. Children of a prey species playing fearlessly with predators from a nightmare world. Ambassador Thren, a crystalline being from the Council's diplomatic corps, approached Captain Torres with barely concealed anxiety. "Captain, I am authorized to discuss humanity's unique situation. Your species presents certain challenges to galactic stability." Torres raised an eyebrow. "Because we're from a death world?" "Because you're from a death world and you're helpful," Thren clarified. "It's unprecedented. The Council has protocols for dealing with hostile Deathworld species, but helpful ones? We're in uncharted territory." "Good," Torres replied. "Humans like exploring uncharted territory." The negotiations that followed would reshape galactic politics. Humanity's unique capabilities, their strength, endurance, and adaptability, made them invaluable as peacekeepers and rescue specialists. Their willingness to risk themselves for others, even strangers, introduced a new concept to many species. The Rakari pirates were the first to be tried under new laws inspired by human concepts of justice. Rehabilitation over punishment, protection of the innocent over revenge. The galaxy watched as humans' guards treated their prisoners with dignity, while maintaining absolute security. Months later, as humanity's first embassy opened on the Council capital world, Commander Zelvik was asked to speak at the ceremony. He stood before representatives of 100 species, his crystalline form catching the light. "I sent a distress call into the void," he began, his musical voice carrying across the assembly. "I expected raiders, scavengers, or silence. Instead, the void sent us protectors. It sent us humans." He paused, looking at the human delegation. "They came from a world that would kill most of us in minutes. They evolved surrounded by death, gravity that would crush us, air that would poison us. By all logic, they should be conquerors, destroyers. Instead, they choose to be builders, protectors, friends." His large eyes swept the crowd. "The humans have a saying, with great power comes great responsibility. Today, the galaxy learns what happens when the strongest among us choose compassion over conquest." The assembly erupted in applause, a sound that echoed through the halls and across the communication networks to 1,000 worlds. On Earth, children learning about first contact in schools were taught about the day humanity answered a call for help and changed the galaxy's understanding of what it meant to be strong. In the Kepler system, the mining station thrived under joint Vortan-human operation, becoming a symbol of cooperation between species. And throughout the galaxy, the word spread. Humans were coming. The Deathworlders were real. They were powerful beyond measure. And if you were in trouble, they would come for you, because that's what humans do. They answer the call,